Hello, my name is Annabelle Bradley.
And I'm Maggie Menigoz.
And we're here to bring you the debate of the 90s, a debate between DuPont and GreenPeace.
So for some context, in the 90s, while this was all going down, there was increased ozone layer awareness. People were starting to realize, oh, the ozone hole in the Antarctic, probably not a good thing. Ozone was at an all-time low due to human emissions, and people were realizing, oh, like maybe we actually do want a healthy ozone layer. And the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change was adopted in 1992.
Before 1992, there were other efforts to reduce climate change and harmful chemicals that are being emitted into the environment, or CFCs, which are a really big component in this debate. CFCs stand for chlorofluorocarbons. Some of the efforts being made include the Clean Air Act, which was signed and implemented by Richard Nixon on December 31st of 1970, which basically was a comprehensive federal law that regulated all sources of air emissions. Including this, the Montreal Protocol, which was enacted in 1987, was a UN treaty that banned the release of these CFCs. But in the 1990s, there was an increased demand from not only the people, but nations to start working down and cracking down on these harmful chemicals.
DuPont promised to reduce CFC use for the future. But a promise isn't exactly action, and so they were sued a lot.
Yeah. Turns out they have a very rich history of legal lawsuits. And these lawsuits are what inspire and light a fire underneath organizations such as GreenPeace, which is where this debate is coming from. It is this long time fight and battle between the anonymous climate activists and the controversial chemical companies. The people versus the industry. So with our pleasure, let's get on with the debate. Hi, it's nice to finally meet you.
Yes, good to speak face to face.
Like men.
men.
Let's get down to business, shall we?
What up? I am Tony Vogelsberg, coming at you.
And I'm GreenPeace. I don't need a name, because GreenPeace is my name. Well, let's tell the people a little bit about ourselves. Let's not leave them in the dark,
Yeah,
people deserve
I'd like to
knowledge is
clear
power.
the air a little bit. Get my
I'm sure
good
you would.
name back in the minds of the people. I'm DuPont, Tony Vogelsberg, as I said. I'll give you a little bit of history of my company. We were founded in 1802. We made gunpowder, dynamite, smokeless powder, all that fun stuff. In 1912, we invested what in today's money would be $700 million in General Motors. In 1920, we made neoprene, nylon, Teflon, you're welcome. In 1940s, there was a bit of a dark period. There was some money and some materials involved with some people who should not have had those money and materials before my time. Not me.
I take note of that, people.
It wasn't
might
just
be
us.
referenced
We were
later
one of
on.
150 companies that were supplying materials to Nazi Germany, but luckily that's in the past. In 1945, there were space-age developments and bullet-resistant body armor research, keeping those cops alive. In 1970, we acquired Coconut Inc., a U.S. American gas company. We also sold it. We acquired an agricultural seed company and put research into GMOs, and specifically the Plenish soybean, which were lower in fat and oleic acid. That is the scientists' realm. I just speak to the people. I just say it how it is. We also made solar panels, alternatives to fossil fuels, and we bought and sold several smaller projects within our company. In 2015, we merged with Dow Chemical Company to create Dow DuPont, and the state of California filed suit against us for continuing to manufacture persistent organic compounds.
Did you air quote California?
It's not real.
That's not even up for debate. That is a state. But anyways, enough of Vogelsberg. On to me. I'm GreenPeace, the man, the one that will be at the forefront on this climate recovery, this climate rescue, thanks to you guys. But that's for later. So what exactly is GreenPeace? We're a global network of independent campaigning organizations that use peaceful protest. We're using our words, not our fists, to fight against issues that are affecting all the people.
We've heard many of your words.
I gave you your time. Let me have mine. So we're especially focused in global environmental problems and promoting solutions that are essential to a green, just, and joyful future. We just want to be able to live happily on this planet and live in a sustainable way for us and our future generations. What were some of the things that we've done? We've been involved in climate change action, working closely with the UN, pollution, voting rights, sustainability. We were included in the Global Ocean Treaty, High Seas Treaty, which is providing a coordinated approach to establishing marine protected areas on the high seas. That was one of our most recent projects, established in 2023.
That's the future. That's the future.
That's the now. Anyways, we also had the Senate Bill of 1137, which is a legislation enacting a 3,200-foot public health and safety setback and buffering zone to protect sensitive sites from the toxic emissions in this fake state that you claim in California, which we know has been going through some extremely environmental challenges recently with the wildfires, many homeless, many animals threatened, not having a habitat to live in.
Allegedly.
Proven, depicted, documented. But anyways, let's start off with the pieces of work. I published an article to the New York Times in 1992.
Defamation.
No, it was a very passionate piece, and it was talking about one of the major issues of the time, which was the ozone layer, and how it was at an all-time low, thinnest than it's ever been, and how certain companies were promoting this and allowing our ozone to thin, which is, if you don't know, the ozone is what keeps the ultraviolet rays from damaging all life on planet Earth.
Allegedly.
Not allegedly, proven by science, which scientists work for you, so almost your scientists.
I just do what they tell me to do.
Anyways, so I wrote a passionate piece about that. It was in a Roman numeral structure, so it was very clear to read. It had points, it was paragraphs, it was sectioned very nicely, and it was a very strong and passionate article. I included infographics for those who maybe did not know as much about environmental terms.
It was written by a baby for babies.
No, it was just being inclusive. You know, not everyone knows the terminology of scientists and environmental climate activists, and they have the right to know how they can make a difference in their home, right? People who care about issues should be able to express those concerns and act on those. We also had a variety of formats for inclusivity and interest, keeping the readers engaged. And it was very consistent all across the board. If I started a list, I would end one. If I started a topic, I would end it. So that was my piece. You want to say a little something, DuPont?
Yes. In my response, I wrote a letter. I think that was very nice of me to respond. You know, I didn't ghost GreenPeace or anything. I wrote a letter, a clear letter, as anyone could write. I wrote it in paragraphs. I wrote my piece, I stated my piece, did not break it up, did not need to be broken up. It was clear, you could read it, you could see it all. I wrote a letter. Very interesting letter, one that one would totally make to the end, despite the blocky structure. And if I do say so myself, the backhanded terminology. Hey, we're just speaking about structure.
Yeah, that's very true. That is what we will go into for our next topic of pathos.
Just to make sure everyone knows what we're talking about, pathos deals with emotions, of which I have, believe it or not, in my letter.
They also have emotions. I'd like to point that out. Emotions that are being threatened.
Allegedly. And my letter was matter of fact. It was reasonable. It was better than theirs. This says manipulative. It was not manipulative. It was clear and to the point. It was confident, courteous, and sincere, and it made them look erratic.
Well, I'd like to point out the severity of the issue that we have at hand. There is a hole in our atmosphere.
Allegedly.
Thanks to your emissions.
Allegedly.
Not allegedly, proven. I will show a picture. A picture on the screen, people, of the hole.
Allegedly.
Anyways, so it was very passionate. I'm very passionate about this topic. I care a lot.
Clearly.
As we all should. Right? And I'm sure there were sentences that were in full caps in my writing piece. Is that grammatically appropriate? It depends on the context, and I believe that this context deserves all caps. So, besides this, I believe that my passion, my emotion, not only is inspiring those of the public, the people who have the power, it's also providing an action plan, okay? We are being hopeful. We are encouraging change.
There's no need for an action plan because everything is fine.
Are we sure about that?
Yes. Moving on.
Anyways, next, logos. Logic. Facts, statistics, numbers, charts. Not blocks of paragraphs. So, like I was saying, logos is an appeal to logic. It is a direct statement from, it can be a direct statement from authorities, appears in the sense of what is right, and like I was saying, can include the facts, the charts, statistics, numbers, dates, anything along those lines, which my written piece, GreenPeace, included a lot of. We have names including Edgar Broffman Sr., who was the representative, the chief of your company at the time. I don't know if you're aware of that. If you are...
I've seen him around the golf course.
Yeah. He approved many actions on DuPont's names to release CFCs, very harmful chemical that is being released into the air. And along with this, there were other companies that were also contributing to ozone depletion, such as Tropicana Juice Company, and also places that would be directly affected from these ozone emissions, including Chile. Their people were seeing rapid water decreations, scarcities, rising temperatures, and it's all partially due to the ozone and other human effects.
You also included no references. I had references. I discussed the Clean Air Act. We made a lot of statements, and we had a lot of government policies and titles within my letter that I wrote.
Totally did not go through multiple, let's say, writing agencies. No money was involved. No one was paid to write this for you guys by any chance. DuPont. Where are you going to go with this one? I feel like this is a battle that you're losing.
I just have one thing to say, and then we can shake hands and be gentlemen.
All right, I let you have the floor. Everyone has the power to avoid.
GreenPeace is a lying piece of shit.
Well, security was called for that one, but that was
it's not often that you get two
people at the opposite ends of the spectrum in the same room.
They were civil for a while. I think we should commend that.
Yeah, GreenPeace may have been violating some of its terms, its values, its ethics, but...
And DuPont could have been nicer and could have thrown around a few less allegedlys.
But, you know, you win some, you lose some. But just to do a little recap, and just to draw some conclusions based off of the very insightful information that they presented with us.
To wrap up this excitement.
Yes, this debate. So we were discussing on the criteria of 3 rhetorical analysis factors: structure, pathos, and logos.
We've decided that GreenPeace is probably a more reliable source, as it provides more information to the reader compared to DuPont's letter, which is brief and hard to read, and it has little to no references.
Definitely. And when looking at the other criteria, like pathos and logos, Ozone Shock by GreenPeace really geared more towards the readers and wanted to convince them that this is a important issue that should be concerned about and what to do with that concern. The infographics and the charts and the data that was presented, which companies not to avoid, what government representatives to contact, really proved logos and tied a bow on the article and connected with readers. It was a statement, and that showed.
While GreenPeace, the Ozone Shock article or advertisement, was more reliable, honestly, neither the letter nor the advertisement should be cited based off of their heavily biased opinions and their tones throughout the statements.
Both didn't have like any references at all and in any type of citation form. And you know, when you're looking for a reference, that's really one of the first flags that you look for if they are referencing and being cited from. So with that being said, neither of them are really the strongest piece of evidence, but if we're going off of the criteria given for the debate, GreenPeace did win. They were more consistent.
Yes.
DuPont did at one point have a little bit of a grasp on me. I'm not going to lie. I did feel like they were presenting as a little bit more of an official at first. I felt like they were speaking from a place of power, but on further dissection and analysis, you really just start to see the gaps and see where maybe this letter isn't personal, maybe it isn't heartfelt, maybe they don't care.
On first glance, it looks official and it looks correct, and they've got lots of numbers and words, but if you look further into it, there's really not much there. Not a lot of substance. No. Just big words and fancy letters. Yep.
And that just goes to say that you should always look into your sources and you should always look into what you're reading. Do some research on the articles. Educate yourself. And we hope that we educated you through this debate.
Yes, thank you so much for watching, and hit that like and subscribe button.
Thank you, Ms. Courtwright.